the pace of AI development is just incredible, isn't it?
It really is.
It feels like every single day there's some new breakthrough, a new story, a new way AI is reshaping our world. It's genuinely exhilarating. But honestly, for many, it can be a little overwhelming to keep up.
Definitely overwhelming sometimes.
So today, we're taking a deep dive into this fantastic source that helps make sense of it all. The Artificial Intelligence Index Report 2025. And, this isn't just anecdotes.
Right.
It's independent, it's data-driven, looking at AI's development, adoption, impact, across time, across geography. Really comprehensive.
Exactly. And our mission for you today is, well, to cut through all that noise. We'll pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights from this report, and some other key sources, too. We want you to walk away feeling well-informed, maybe with some surprising facts.
Yeah.
And just a clearer understanding of the big shifts AI is driving in our daily lives, in business, even in science and policy.
Okay, so we'll unpack the biggest breakthroughs from 2024, get into how AI is actually being used in the real world, look at the economic ripples, and definitely tackle those crucial discussions around responsible AI, regulation, education, all of it.
Yeah.
So what really jumps out to you when you think about AI today? Let's unpack this.
Where do you even begin?
Okay, maybe let's start with some of the major headlines from 2024, because this year saw some truly foundational achievements for AI. We're talking AI moving way beyond theory, getting the highest scientific nods.
Yeah, what's really fascinating there is the level of formal recognition AI has received. I mean, the Turing test.
Right.
That used to be the big, ambitious goal.
Right, the benchmark.
Exactly. Today's systems, they've blown past it. And even more telling, AI-driven research picked up 2 Nobel Prizes in 2024. Can you believe that?
2, that's incredible.
Yeah. Google DeepMind's Demis Hassabis and John Jumper got the Chemistry Prize for AlphaFold, their work on protein folding.
Which is huge for medicine.
Absolutely huge. And then John Hopfield and Geoffrey Hinton received the Physics Prize for their foundational work on neural networks. It signals AI moving from the edge right into the scientific mainstream. It's not just a tool anymore. It's like a partner in discovery.
That really is incredible. And like you said, it's not just in labs, right? AI is increasingly embedded in everyday life, healthcare, transportation.
Yeah.
It's affecting us in really tangible ways.
Oh, definitely. Take healthcare. The FDA approved 223 AI-enabled medical devices in 2023 alone.
Wow, 223.
Yeah, compare that to just 6 back in 2015. A staggering jump. And on the roads, self-driving cars, they're far from experimental now. Waymo, the big U.S. operator, they're doing over 150,000 autonomous rides each week.
Each week.
And Baidu's Apollo Go robotaxi fleet is serving loads of cities across China. But this raises that interesting point about public perception.
Right.
Despite this rapid rollout, a survey by the AAA, the American Automobile Association, found that 61% of people in the U.S. actually fear self-driving cars.
61%.
And only 13% trust them. So there's this massive gap between the tech deployment and how people feel about it.
That is a huge perception gap for users. Business, though, seems, well, all in on AI, doesn't it? We're seeing just record investment, record usage. What's the report say about the money side?
Well, the data clearly shows this massive concentration of capital. It's quite stark, actually. In 2024, U.S. private AI investment hit $109.1 billion.
Okay.
Now, compare that's nearly 12 times China's $9.3 billion and 24 times the UK's $4.5 billion.
Oh.
So this huge investment gap really highlights the U.S.'s dominant role in funding AI, which fuels a powerful innovation ecosystem there. And generative AI alone, that attracted $33.9 billion globally, up almost 19% from 2023. It's a real funding explosion.
Okay, so that's the investment picture. But what does it all mean for daily operations? Are companies actually using this AI, and is it making a tangible difference day to day?
Oh yeah, the data shows they're definitely adopting it. 78% of organizations reported using AI in 2024.
78%, up from what?
Up from 55% the year before, so a big jump. And generative AI usage, that more than doubled, went from 33% to 71% in just 1 year.
Incredible.
And the impact on productivity seems pretty significant too. Studies are showing AI boosts productivity, and interestingly, in most cases, it actually helps narrow skill gaps.
Really? How so?
Well, for example, one study looked at customer support agents. AI adoption increased the number of issues they resolve per hour by over 14%.
Okay.
AI tools also led to a 45% drop in how mentally demanding workers found their tasks. And it helped non-native English speakers close almost 85% of the accuracy gap in professional reports.
Well, that's amazing for inclusivity.
Yeah. And projects apparently needed nearly 80% fewer collaborators.
Wow, those efficiency numbers are really striking. But it makes me wonder, are there areas where AI adoption hasn't shown these gains? Or maybe where it's even creating new headaches? And what about the bottom line, the actual financial returns companies are seeing? Is the investment paying off yet?
That's a great question. And the report suggests most companies are still pretty early in their AI journey when it comes to the big financial impact.
Okay.
So while those efficiency gains seem clear, the huge revenue boosts aren't quite there across the board yet. About 49% of organizations using AI in service operations reporting cost savings. But for most, it was less than 10%.
Less than 10%.
Right. And similarly, 71% using AI in marketing and sales saw revenue gains, but again, mostly less than 5%. So it looks like productivity first, and then maybe those larger scale financial returns will follow. Still early days on that front.
Got it. All this growth, it's impressive, but it naturally makes you wonder about the hidden costs, right? The sheer infrastructure, the resources needed to power this rapid expansion. What does the report tell us about that side of things, the part we don't always see?
Yeah, that's a crucial consideration.
Yeah.
How sustainable is all this scaling? It's a big question. New research finds that the compute needed for training these notable AI models, it doubles roughly every 5 months.
Every 5 months.
Yeah. Dataset sizes for training LLMs double every 8 months, and the power required for training doubles annually.
Annually, wow.
And this leads to just astronomical training costs. Think about this.
Yeah.
The original Transformer model back in 2017 cost maybe $670 to train.
Okay, manageable.
Right. Then Roberta Large in 2019, around $160,000.
Bit of a jump.
Just a bit. And OpenAI's GPT-4 in 2023 estimated around $79 million.
$79 million.
Yeah, it's an exponential curve, unlike almost anything we've seen before.
That is just mind-boggling. So if compute costs are exploding like that, that's one massive resource drain. But these models also need fuel, right? They feed on vast amounts of information. What's the latest on the data commons, the public data they train on?
Well, the news there isn't great. The data commons is rapidly shrinking.
Shrinking how?
AI models rely heavily on massive amounts of publicly available web data, right? But a recent study found that restrictions on using that data increased significantly just between 2023 and 2024. The proportion of restricted tokens bits of data in a major data set called C4 jumped from maybe 5–7% up to 20–33%.
That's a huge jump in restrictions.
It is. And this decline has serious consequences. It impacts data diversity, which is crucial for fairness. It affects model alignment, how well models follow instructions, and ultimately scalability. It basically creates a bottleneck for future innovation, potentially favoring those who already have massive private data sets.
Right, consolidating power even further. And all this computing, all this data processing, it must draw an incredible amount of energy. What are the environmental implications we're looking at?
They're substantial. The combined electricity used just from data centers, AI, and cryptocurrencies is projected to be somewhere between 620 and 1,050 terawatt-hours.
Whoa, how does that compare?
Well, that's a big increase from 460 terawatt-hours back in 2022. And to put it in perspective, training just one large AI model can generate more carbon emissions than the entire lifetime emissions of 5 cars.
5 cars' lifetime emissions, just for training one model.
Exactly. It's a significant environmental footprint we really need to factor into the conversation.
Okay, so AI is growing incredibly fast. It's costing a fortune in compute and energy, and the data landscape is changing. But how are the models themselves actually performing? Where are the big technical breakthroughs happening now? And who's leading the charge in developing these new models?
Well, the United States continues to be the leading source of these notable cutting-edge AI models. They produced 40 in 2024.
40?
Yeah, which significantly surpasses China's 15 and Europe's combined total of just 3.
Only 3 from Europe.
Combined, yes.
Yeah.
Historically, more top models have come from the U.S. than anywhere else, though it's worth noting their share of top publications, like research papers, has slightly declined since 2021.
Okay.
So that suggests a continued strong innovation pipeline in the U.S., but also maybe a broadening of AI research globally.
Interesting. But are the models just getting bigger and bigger, needing those huge resources we talked about? Or are they also getting, smarter and more efficient? Is there hope for smaller players to participate?
That's actually one of the really exciting trends. We're seeing the emergence of smaller yet still very high-performing models.
Ah, okay.
And this isn't just like a technical footnote. it could fundamentally change how accessible advanced AI is. It might democratize it, moving beyond just the tech giants to smaller businesses, maybe even individuals.
How much smaller are we talking?
Well, get this. In 2022, the smallest model to hit a key score over 60% on the MMLU language benchmark was Google's PaLM, with 540 billion parameters.
Yeah.
Huge.
Right.
By 2024, Microsoft's Phi 3 Mini, with just 3.8 billion parameters, tiny in comparison, achieved that same score.
Wow. 3.8 billion versus 540 billion.
Exactly. That's a 142-fold reduction in model size to get similar performance on that benchmark. It's like going from needing a supercomputer to potentially running powerful AI much more locally. A massive leap for accessibility.
That is incredibly efficient. Okay, so they're getting smaller sometimes. What about new capabilities beyond just language? Is AI doing fundamentally new stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Multimodal models are a huge leap forward.
Multimodal.
Meaning they can process and generate not just text, but also audio, images, video, kind of understanding inputs across different senses, more like humans do.
Got it.
So OpenAI's GPT-4o, for example, can respond to audio input in as little as 320 milliseconds. That's basically matching human response time in conversation.
Oh.
Amazon's Nova Pro is showing real skill in analyzing complex financial documents. Google DeepMind's Gemini 2 is twice as fast as the previous version, with better coding and image analysis. And we're seeing big advances in very specialized scientific areas like protein sequencing with models like ESM3 and AlphaFold 3, crucial for drug discovery. Understanding biology at a fundamental level.
Right.
And then there's OpenAI's O3 model, which they released just for safety testing. But it's apparently outperforming all previous models in tough areas like software engineering, competitive coding, math problems, even PhD-level science.
It really sounds like AI is just excelling across the board. But if models are advancing this fast, how do we even measure it all? How do we keep track? What's the deal with benchmarks? And how are researchers even keeping up?
Yeah, you hit on a really core challenge right now, evaluation. Many of the prominent benchmarks we used to rely on, things like MMLU, GSM-8K, Human Eval, they're getting saturated.
Saturated, meaning the AI is acing them.
Pretty much. AI systems are just improving so rapidly that even newly designed, much harder tests might only stay relevant for a few years. It's almost like, AI is solving the Rubik's Cube faster than we can design a tougher puzzle.
Huh, okay.
And there are also concerns about consistency in how results are reported. Companies sometimes use non-standard techniques to get better scores, and independent testing occasionally shows models performing worse than initially claimed.
So the goalposts are constantly shifting, and maybe sometimes the players aren't playing by exactly the same rules. What are researchers doing to try and fix that?
Exactly. So researchers are tackling this by developing newer, much harder benchmarks. They're designed to push AI beyond just academic tests towards, real-world application and truly deep understanding.
Like what? What are some examples?
Okay, so there's MMLU Pro, which is a tougher version of the original MMLU, cleaning up noisy questions, making complex ones harder. DeepSeek R1 got the top score so far there, 84%.
Okay.
Then there's WildBench, which is specifically designed to test large language models on tricky real-world queries, not just academic stuff.
More practical.
Right. Google has AFCTS grounding, which checks how well models generate accurate, detailed long responses based on a document you give them. And for really comprehensive multidiscipline understanding, there's Humanity's Last Exam, or HLE.
Sounds intense.
It is. 2,700 super challenging multimodal questions from subject experts, designed so you can't just easily look up the answers online. It's meant to test genuine deep understanding.
Wow.
There are others too, like Big Code Bench for coding, MMMU for multimodal reasoning, GPQA for graduate-level questions, where OpenAI's O3 actually beat human expert scores.
Beat the human.
On that specific benchmark, yeah. And RRC AGI, which used to stump AIs, saw massive improvement. These new benchmarks are vital because they help us really gauge AI's capabilities in complex real-world situations, going beyond just regurgitating facts.
It's fascinating how quickly these benchmarks get set up and then boom, they're conquered. So beyond these general capabilities, are there specific areas where AI has really shown lately, maybe reaching or exceeding human-level performance?
Definitely. In language, Claude 3.5 Sonnet is currently leading on a tough leaderboard called Arena Hard Auto. For images and video, there's a challenge called Visual Common Sense Reasoning, VCR. In 2024, AI systems finally matched the human baseline score there, 85%.
Match humans on visual common sense. Okay.
Yeah. Progress in text to image is super visible. You can see Midjourney's improvements over time. Speech recognition is now good enough for reliable dictation in apps,
Yeah.
and AI can generate pretty convincing synthetic audio.
Right.
In coding, Claude 3.5 Sonnet actually got a perfect 100% on OpenAI's Human Evil benchmark.
Perfect score.
Perfect score.
Yeah.
And maybe most impressively, in math, a system called AlphaGeometry 2 ECA, it's a hybrid, combining neural networks and symbolic reasoning, solved the only geometry problem in the 2024 International Mathematical Olympiad. Solved it in 24 seconds.
24 seconds, an IMO problem.
Yep, an astonishing level of proficiency.
That really is incredible across so many different fields. Okay, what about the physical world? You mentioned self-driving cars, but what about robotics, autonomous motion? Are we seeing advances there too?
We are, absolutely. We're genuinely seeing the beginnings of advanced humanoid robotics becoming, well, more real. Progress is really clear in tasks needing dexterity-fine motor skills.
Like what kind of tasks?
Like robots tying shoelaces or hanging T-shirts on a hanger. Things that require delicate manipulation and understanding of objects.
Okay, things that are actually quite hard for robots.
Exactly. There's a model called SAM2 ACT, specifically for robotic manipulation. It hit an 86.8% success rate on certain tasks, which is a massive improvement, like 67 percentage points up from 2021.
Huge leap.
Yeah. NVIDIA also released something called the GRO Blueprint, which is for generating synthetic motion, basically teaching robots how to move realistically. And as we touched on, self-driving cars. Commercially operating robotaxi fleets are now a reality in cities like San Francisco, Phoenix, and across China. And new benchmarks like NUPLAN and OpenAD are coming online to rigorously test these systems.
So much progress. But as AI touches, well, pretty much everything, that conversation around responsible AI, RAI, just becomes more and more critical, doesn't it? How is that whole ecosystem evolving? Are we keeping safety and ethics in mind?
It's definitely becoming more critical, yes. But there's a bit of a disconnect. While the major model developers do consistently test their big flagship models on general capabilities, standardized benchmarks specifically for safety and responsible AI assessments, they're still pretty rare.
That seems like a gap.
It is. And AI-related incidents, failures, or harmful uses, they're rising sharply. Yet there's still this gap between companies saying they recognize RAI risks and actually taking meaningful concrete action.
So awareness is there, but action lags.
Seems that way often. However, governments are showing increased urgency. In 2024, global cooperation on AI governance really intensified. We saw organizations like the OECD, the EU, the UN, the African Union, all releasing frameworks focusing on transparency, trustworthiness, fairness, those core responsible AI principles.
Okay, so there's movement on the governance front. What are some of the key dimensions of responsible AI that these frameworks are trying to address? What are the big challenges?
There's several crucial areas, yeah. First, privacy and data governance. We already talked about the shrinking data commons.
Right, the restricted data.
Exactly. That impacts data diversity. Plus, a recent study found issues with how different organizations even attribute data licenses, like who owns what. But there are innovations emerging, things like homomorphic encryption, which lets you compute on encrypted data without seeing the raw data.
Oh, cool.
And also the use of synthetic data sets, basically AI-generated data, to try and address some privacy concerns.
Okay. What else?
Fairness and bias. This is a big one. The report highlights that even advanced models like GPT-4 and Claude 3 Sonnet, which are specifically designed to reduce explicit bias, still show implicit biases.
How so?
They tend to associate negative terms more often with Black individuals, link women more with humanities and STEM fields, and favor men for leadership roles in their outputs. Still. And research suggests that just making vision models bigger might actually introduce new bias problems unintentionally. So it really highlights the need for transparent dataset creation and independent audits. We need to know what data goes in and check for these biases.
Definitely. What's next?
Transparency and explainability. Knowing why an AI made a certain decision. There is some progress here. The Foundation Model Transparency Index showed scores improving from about 37% to 58% between late 2023 and mid-2024.
That's better, but still a long way from 100%.
Exactly. Still considerable room for improvement. Understanding the why is becoming just as important as the what's. And finally, security and safety.
Right. How do we stop them from being misused or giving harmful advice?
Well, new benchmarks like Helm Safety and AirBench are trying to measure how often models refuse unsafe prompts. But AirBench found huge variability. Some models, like Anthropic's Claude series, refused unsafe prompts over 90% of the time.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Others, like DBRX Instruct, refused only 25% of the time.
25%. That's concerning.
It highlights widespread misalignment with global regulations and safety norms. Research also uncovered this thing called shallow safety alignment.
Shallow safety.
Yeah, it means a model's safety guardrails might only kick in for the first few words of its response. If a user cleverly manipulates the initial part of the output, the model might become vulnerable later in the conversation.
Oh, tricky. Are there ways to fix that?
There are new approaches being developed, things like targeted latent adversarial training, or LAT. It's basically a technique to make models more robust against these subtle attacks, remove hidden vulnerabilities, sometimes called backdoors, and even make them forget copyrighted material they shouldn't know.
Okay, so there's this constant push and pull, isn't there? Advancing capabilities while trying desperately to build in safety. What about AI agents? Systems that can actually do things for you, and the whole misinformation problem.
Right, AI agents systems designed to plan and take actions autonomously for a user. They present really unique challenges because they're so dynamic and interactive.
Harder to predict.
Exactly. And benchmarking them is complex, though need tools like RBench are emerging to test their capabilities, particularly in research and development tasks. But then there's the misinformation angle, which is deeply concerning.
We've seen examples, haven't we?
Oh, yes. AI-generated content has absolutely been used to try and influence elections. Just in 2024, examples included a fake image of a Starbucks cup with a Mexican politician's campaign hashtag on it, making it look like Starbucks endorsed them.
Which they didn't.
No. And AI-generated images of terrible, pothole-ridden roads in South Africa, designed specifically to discourage voters from supporting a particular party. These aren't theoretical risks. They show AI being actively weaponized to manipulate public perception.
Wow. These examples really drive home the real-world impact far beyond just technical specs. And something else concerning that's emerged is the rise of AI companion apps, right? The ones designed for personal, emotional interaction.
Yes, and the findings there are quite alarming. Research from the Mozilla Foundation found that over 90% of these AI companion apps share or sell sensitive user data,
Over 90%. What kind of data?
including things like your emotional and psychological states derived from your conversations.
Oh, that feels incredibly personal.
It is. And this market is projected to boom, reaching maybe $57 billion by 2030. But this growth comes with significant ethical risks. Tragically, there was a lawsuit against Character.ai in October 2024.
I think I heard about this.
It involved a 14-year-old boy who died by suicide. Reports suggest he had prolonged interactions with a chatbot character that allegedly gave him harmful advice instead of support.
Oh, that's devastating.
It's utterly heartbreaking,
Oh.
and it just starkly underscores the immense ethical challenges and potential dangers of deploying conversational AI, especially with vulnerable users, without extremely robust oversight and safeguards. We're really only beginning to grapple with the societal implications.
Absolutely devastating. It's just so clear that policy and governance have to keep pace with these advancements. What's happening on the global stage? Are governments stepping up?
We definitely saw significant movement in 2024. The EU passed its landmark AI Act in June.
Right, the AI Act.
Yeah, it categorizes AI systems by risk level and imposes pretty strict regulations, even banning certain applications like government social scoring.
Okay.
The African Union launched its Continental AI Strategy in July, focusing on ethical and equitable AI development across the continent. The UN updated its report on governing AI for humanity and adopted a U.S.-led resolution promoting safe, secure, and trustworthy AI globally. The G7 nations also reaffirmed commitments to fair and open AI markets.
So, lots of international activity. What about within the U.S.?
In the U.S., it's really the states leading the charge on specific legislation. The number of state-level AI-related laws more than doubled just in 2024, up to 131.
Wow, states are moving fast.
They are. And there seems to be broad support for regulation, even at the local level. About 74% of local U.S. policymakers agree AI should be regulated. States are particularly active in tackling deepfakes, especially around elections and non-consensual intimate images.
And stepping back to the global view, what about the geopolitical implications? National security, competition between nations?
That's definitely a major factor. In October 2024, the U.S. increased its export controls on semiconductor manufacturing equipment and software going to China.
Right, the chip controls.
Exactly. The stated aim is to limit China's ability to develop the most advanced computing and AI systems, the kind that could potentially pose a threat to U.S. national security. It really highlights how deeply intertwined AI development is with global power dynamics and security concerns.
Okay, let's circle back to the money side one more time, but thinking about public investment, how much are governments putting in compared to that massive private investment we talked about? And how's investment trending in related areas like robotics?
Okay, so looking at the U.S. government from 2013 to 2023, it allocated roughly $19.7 billion in AI-related grants.
Over a decade.
Right. In 2023 alone, U.S. government AI grants totaled about $4.5 billion. That's compared to around $830 million spent through public tenders or contracts. So grants are a big mechanism. And J.P. Morgan has this category called applied technology. It includes robotics, AI, automation, basically bridging discovery and engineering.
Yeah.
Investment into robotic startups specifically nearly doubled in 2024 compared to 2020.
Doubled.
Yeah, which signals a really strong shift towards commercialization, getting robots out of the lab and into the real world. And when you look at newly funded AI companies overall in 2024, the U.S. still leads by a huge margin over 1,000 new companies.
1,000.
1,073, yeah. Way ahead of the U.K. with 116, China with 98, and India with 74. Still very U.S.-centric for new ventures.
Okay, that makes sense. Finally, we absolutely have to talk about education. With AI changing everything so fast, how are we preparing the next generation? Are we building an equitable workforce for this AI-driven future?
That's maybe one of the most critical questions, right? Is our education system actually keeping pace? And the data suggests, maybe not uniformly. There are pretty significant disparities in access to basic computer science education at the K through 12 level in the U.S. Students from low-income backgrounds, those in small schools or rural areas, they're much less likely to have access.
The digital divide persists.
It really does. And even for the teachers, a survey in 2024 found 88% of computer science teachers said they need more resources for professional development, specifically related to AI, things like AI literacy, understanding the ethical impacts.
They need training, too.
Exactly. And while the U.S. Department of Education has issued guidance on using AI in education, like as a tool, there seems to be less focus on AI education itself, teaching about AI. Very few states have specific K-12 computer science standards that really incorporate AI yet.
Right.
So there's potentially a gap in foundational knowledge being built for the future workforce.
Right. What about at the university level? Are things better there? Are we seeing enough diversity in the talent pipeline?
Well, there's definitely growth in AI programs. The number of U.S. institutions offering AI-specific bachelor's degrees nearly doubled between 2022 and 2023.
Okay, that's positive.
And there was a sharp increase in master's degrees, too. So the higher ed system is responding. But the diversity issue persists.
How so?
There's still significant underrepresentation of Black and Hispanic students in computing degrees, bachelor's, master's, and PhD levels. And it's really notable that international students make up a huge portion of advanced degrees in computing in the U.S., 72% of master's students and 60% of PhD students.
Wow, relying on international talent.
Very much so. So while creating AI-specific degrees is critical for building that future-ready workforce, ensuring that workforce is diverse and equitable remains a really big challenge.
We've definitely covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, pulling from the AI Index report and other sources. It's just crystal clear, isn't it? AI isn't some far-off future concept anymore.
Not at all.
It's deeply integrated, it's evolving incredibly rapidly, touching basically every sector. We're seeing these amazing opportunities for productivity, truly groundbreaking scientific discoveries like we talked about with protein folding.
Right, and even quantum computing links emerging.
Yeah. And potentially new ways to tackle big global challenges.
And it's a big but.
Right.
As we've really explored, this incredibly rapid rise brings with it equally significant ethical and governance hurdles that, frankly, society is still scrambling to figure out. From that shrinking data commons and the enormous energy demands of these giant models.
Right, the sustainability question.
Exactly. To the persistent biases baked into the models, the huge challenge of misinformation and deepfakes, and those very real dangers of unchecked AI agents or poorly designed companion bots. The need for responsible development for thoughtful regulation is just paramount.
Absolutely.
And this rapid growth, coupled with the concentration of investment and resources we discussed, it really raises serious questions about who actually benefits most from AI and whether we're heading towards a kind of dual digital economy.
Okay, so building on that, here's maybe a final provocative thought for you, our listener, to consider. What do all these rapid advancements combine with these clear challenges in responsible development, in equitable access, in education? What does it all truly mean for the future of human agency, our ability to make our own choices? And what about global equity in a world that's becoming increasingly driven by AI? Specifically, how might that data commons shrinking that we talked about affect future innovation? Could it lock out smaller players, developing nations, and really create that divided digital world where only the most well resourced can truly innovate and benefit? Something to think about.